Hi everyone, welcome to the Close Reader. Today is going to be a very short video. It's not a close reading, it's an announcement. I've created what I consider to be a beautifully typeset version of the preliminary discourse, which is a 100-page excerpt from the Alcoran of Muhammad by George Sale, first published in 1734. If you're interested in this beautifully typeset version, you can access it from the link that I'll put in the description below. If you're wondering, I didn't one day wake up all of a sudden to decide to create to typeset the George Sale's, discourse on the Quran. This is actually referred to by, if you've been following the channel, by Thomas Carlyle in his book, Past and Present. Book 2, The Ancient Monk, Chapter 9, Abbot Samson, where we've been doing a close reading of that, and there one of the sentences really had struck me. It was called, as I read it now, "Thus Mr. Sale informs me," so that's George Sale, "the old Arab tribes would gather in the liveliest gaudeamus," that means joyful celebration, "and sing and kindle bonfires and wreath crowns of honor and solemnly thank the gods that in their tribe too a poet had shown himself." And as I'd done the research, George Sale is the person who in the 1700s created the first scholarly English translation of the Quran. And he also apparently, before getting into the Quran, had a long preamble about the Arab customs before Islam. And that's what I was really interested in. Like, what were these Arab tribes doing in the time before or around Muhammad? Like, what were their customs? Because it was so interesting to me that they would so celebrate a poet. And so I tried to track down this book, and it's widely available. But you can see one of the most widely used PDFs. It's just not like a joy to read. The resolution is low. The characters are bleeding into each other. It's just a little bit, and it's obviously very bold and in your face. So I didn't love this. A better scan was also available, but then that had the yellow background that I didn't love. I'm also very particular about the font sizes that I like, and this wasn't quite my favorite. Then I looked into the EPUBs, and you can find several sort of published versions, like EPUB versions, which is normally how I like to read my online books or digital books. Now, the first one that I found also had a number of formatting issues and errors. The second one was the best so far. So this one, it's actually not too bad. This is doable. This is readable. But I don't love that the fonts didn't have the hierarchy that I like. I didn't love that the footnotes were random numbers throughout the text, followed by the footnotes themselves in the same font, no visual distinction. So all of a sudden you're reading and then suddenly there are footnotes from another chapter, This was not great. So I looked into typesetting from the original text. So the Project Gutenberg luckily had published a full text version. That Project Gutenberg and Brett Samir, fantastic work that they have done here. They got it to the point where it was ready to be done some text processing on. So specifically the way their version is, let me show you. They had chopped things up by pages, like the main text of the pages, and then the footnotes belonging to the page above right underneath. So for example, you see the numbers here, 7, 8, 9, all are referring to the footnotes over here. So this was ripe for taking, ingesting, and doing a bunch of data processing or text processing on in order to create this typeset version that I have now come up with. And as I mentioned, if you're interested, you can access it from the link below. I've also wanted to say, if you're interested in changing things like the base font size, so the font size over here is 11. If you want to change that to grow it or shrink it and have every other font respond to it, as well as if you want to change the page size. So it's currently A5, but if you wanted to change it to letter, A6, bigger, smaller, A3, whatever fits your fancy, or if you wanted to mess with the margins and stuff, or even the font itself. So I've chosen the EB Garamond, a very conservative font size, but if you wanted to change the fonts themselves, I've given you on the same page, same link that you can find, the output.type and preamble.type sort of typesetting files. And if you know a little bit about typist-based typesetting, so that's a tongue twister, but typist is a open source way of doing typesetting. And if you know if you can compile it yourself, then you can find the different settings here, in the preamble. So like for example, the 11 font size, the EB Garamond font type, etc. And you can change them and get a PDF precisely to your liking. So I hope that those interested in it, you can enjoy. And just before I go, I'll leave you with the link to this page. You'll recognize or you'll be able to see a phrase there called monastic apps. That's referring to my sister YouTube channel, the Monastic Apps YouTube channel, where I do the deep dive on the technical topics, and I publish some open source software. If you're interested, you can check that out. I wanted to give you a sneak peek of what I'll mention over there, which when I first started, I was training. I shrunk down the project from what it was potentially growing into, which was training AI models to recognize the layouts of the different pages. So for example, these rectangles around the sections, those are not my doing. Those are the AI's doing based on my training. And for example, things like on different pages, recognizing where the page number is and the page title summary is, so that they can be skipped for the processing. That was for 2 days, I've been going down a rabbit hole. And when I realized that rabbit hole is growing and growing, I decided to take a step back and do a text-based processing instead. I think the text-based processing is mostly good. It does have some downsides. There are some errors and stuff that I think if you were to resurrect from the source material itself, you wouldn't get. So one of the examples is in this. Let me see if I can find it easily here. Give me a sec. Yeah, one of the choices, this is just something very obvious that I discovered. This publisher or individual, I don't quite know, has decided to capitalize God everywhere. That's an editorial choice. It does not exist in the source PDFs. So I did some post-processing and put it down, but there might be various other things that they have chosen to write a particular way. Hopefully they stuck to the script. I mean, Project Gutenberg is usually pretty good. But there might be little errors and little choices like this that are in the plain text that I have not gone back. If I was resurrecting it from the original PDFs, I obviously would not be doing that. So might be a few little things here and there, but for the purpose of time and being fast and publishing it and actually moving on with our lives and actually reading it, I've chosen to base the typesetting on this text. So I hope you enjoy. Here, as I mentioned, you can download the PDF and you can download the typesetting files. And someday we may do a bit of close reading of George Sale together on this channel. Thanks very much and have a nice day. Bye.